What is up, guys? Welcome to the ThinkComputers weekly tech podcast. This is episode 311, and this week's podcast is brought to you by Patriots Viper Steel DDR4 memory. We talked about this stuff before. They sponsored another episode of the podcast. It's just like good non-RGB memory. The no RGB lighting, and you can get this stuff pretty high in the speeds. You can get this up to 4400 megahertz. So if you're trying to like max out your DDR4, definitely check this out. Go to thinkcomputers.org/Viper Steel, and we'll take you right to where you can go ahead and pick this stuff up. So with me is my co-host Ryan. What's going on?
What's up? Not much. Ready to go.
Just hanging out.
I'm on water tonight, but you're drinking some energy drink.
I'm drinking
tired, so
I'm drinking the Juju energy.
Juju.
They're the tropical. I forget. This is the tropical one. We reviewed the Juju Energy sent us some of their like energy. It's like G Fuel. It's like the mix. If you guys haven't, if you haven't had like Juju Energy, it's just like G Fuel, and this is like tropical one. It's amazing. Like this is like you could mix this with rum or vodka, and you'd be
all right,
good to go. I'm not mixing it with rum or vodka, but it's
I almost made some G Fuel tonight, but I decided not to.
Ryan was kind of talking shit. He said that he said I need to get better at gaming. We do a gaming stream after the podcast, and Ryan said that I should get better. So that's why. Yeah. So I'm chugging this energy drink to hopefully make me better at gaming. So there you go. But in any case, real quick, before we get into our reviews and stuff, one, if you want to follow along, we do have a full show notes page that is linked in the description wherever you're watching this, or if you're listening, you can go ahead and follow along and see everything that we're talking about this week. Also, now, since I do have the website brought up here, a couple things. Like 2 weeks ago, we were experimenting with like the auto ads on our website, and it was a mess. So for everybody who went to the website, I was
going to ask you about that.
A couple weeks ago, I was just like testing the waters, like see how it performed, and it was just a bad experience especially on desktop. Like there'd be ads just like all over the place. I just let it run for like a week and a half, and then we're done with it. So the only ads you're going to see on the website are like this top ad, the side ad, and then there's one ad at the bottom of the website right here. Nothing in the content. So like if you go into like a review or you go into something else that like, we'll go into our review here real quick. Like there's nothing going to be in the content. So only at the bottom right here. That's it.
I had meant to ask you about that and forgot, but I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah. And like, I was trying to, like, we were working with this company and I was like, can we like limit it to like one? And they're like, no. And I was like, well, we're not going to run these. And it was very intrusive on you guys. So again, no ads will be in the content itself, except for the ad on them. But again, I wouldn't consider this to be it's at the bottom of the page. It's not in your specific
It's not in
content.
line with everything.
Yeah. So that's one thing. Secondly, I spent a whole day redoing the mobile version of the website. So one, our old mobile version of the website was not very good. It was not very responsive. So I fixed all of that. It also loads so much faster now, and it loads like our content the way that it should be loaded. Like we were working with another company on our old mobile website, and this one I did myself, so we can kind of like it will load all of the posts. Like it won't just have the news on the front page; it has news with the reviews and everything like that. It's just again, if you're on mobile and you want to check it out, again, you don't have to put anything specific or anything like that. And then currently there's no ads on the mobile website at all. I think if anything, we'll put the one at the bottom. But as of right now, again, it loads so much faster. So hopefully you guys, better experience on the website. That's the whole idea. So we fix those issues and, hopefully everything runs faster and better for you guys. So that's a quick little website update. Of course, we want to talk about reviews this week. And since I already have it up, since we were talking about it, I will show you our first review this week, which is the ASRock Z690 Taichi Motherboard. Taichi series from ASRock has always been give you the best of the best features at a decent price. I wouldn't say that Alder Lake motherboards or Z690 motherboards specifically are priced great, but this motherboard is going to give you everything that you're going to want in the Z690 platform. So you have PCI Express 5.0 expansion slots. You have Thunderbolt 4, USB 3.2 Gen 2x2. You have Wi-Fi 6E. You have a whole lot of stuff. This board also has a 20-phase power design that's 19+1 with 105 amp MOSFETs, which gives you quite a lot of power. I think the total available power to the CPU is 1995 amps, which is going to handle a 12900K no problem. And just like the previous ASRock boards, they do have an integrated fan in the power delivery component cooling. You guys have complained about this, and I know people have complained about this in the past. For me, it's not loud. I don't know. I mean, I guess you haven't. Have you had a board that has an integrated?
Not for that component. Not for the.
But what about you? Have an X?
But I have an X570 that's got the board, and I don't notice the fan on it.
Yeah.
Or if I do, it's so low that it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, same here. And I mean, we ran this on a test bench, which is open, and I didn't notice it at all. But it does have the integrated fan. Definitely something to keep in mind. It also has the gear right here, and this gear does move. They started that with the Z590 Taichi, and now with Z690, you can't put that in.
You can't take that away
and then take it out. So they put it in here. Looks great. They changed the color of the board a little bit, added kind of more of the gold back. So in the Z590 version, like the accents were silver, and now the accents are gold, which I definitely like a lot better. I still think ASRock is kind of fallen a little bit behind. If you look at some of the other Z690 motherboards, Asus, Gigabyte MSI, this design, well, again, I do like the design with the gears and all that kind of stuff. It's looking a little dated compared to kind of what else is out there, maybe. And again, this is a top end. I mean, for the top end, it's looking a little dated to me, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think a lot of the other manufacturers have kind of gone with they all look the same to me almost. Like they all look very similar. So it's kind of like, well, that's the trend, and this one doesn't follow that same trend. So maybe that's why it looks dated. I don't know.
Yeah. So as far as like other special features on this board, it does have 3 M.2 slots. 2 of those are Gen 4. The top 2 are Gen 4. And then the bottom one is Gen 3. Is a little bit limited because, again, if you've looked at top end Z690 motherboards, they usually have at least 3, if not 4. And the higher end boards will come with an expansion card, which this board does not. That's something to keep in mind. Also, this is just weird to me. The place, I'm going to see if it's in this other picture. The placements of the CPU fan headers, typically like they're at the top of the board. They're actually below the CPU socket, which, I mean, we had no problem connecting everything, but like once you have a graphics card in there,
yeah, it's pretty tight.
It's pretty tight in there. So again, something to keep in mind. But overall, this is a really good board. If you're looking to do any overclocking, this is an excellent board. Solid power delivery, solid cooling. It does have some RGB lighting, which I can go ahead and show you guys. You have RGB lighting on the gear and on the rear IO, and then kind of on this section. But this section is actually going to be covered up by your graphics card. but you have that there, and then you have it along the edge of the board. I would say this board has a lot more RGB than other Z690 motherboards. And then just like we saw with the Asus, what was it, the Maximus 8, or not the Maximus, the
I don't remember which.
Yeah, the Z690 board from Asus. Their the audio ports have LEDs that correspond with like the color. Like the microphone port is red. This makes it so much easier to connect all of your, everything like that. So yeah, good to see all of that. Like I said, I like this board. There's a little things that are, again, like the placement of the CPU fan headers, only 3 M.2 slots, but I think it's a solid board overall. Again, you're getting 2 Thunderbolt Type C ports. So if you have Thunderbolt devices, those both default to USB 3.2 Gen 2 ports as well. You have USB 3.2 Gen 2x2 by an internal header, so you can connect that if your case has a port, or if you get a bracket, you can go ahead and do that. This board has, it has everything that you would want. So it kind of comes down to really kind of feature set as far as if it has everything that you want, and obviously design. I love the moving gear and all of that. And I do have to say the ASRock BIOS is just excellent. Like it's so easy to find everything, and it's so easy to, just like, it's just, I don't know. I feel that like they do it better than Gigabyte. I think Asus is probably the best and most refined BIOS, but I think ASRock is definitely second.
Did you make a video for this BIOS?
I did. It's in the review. It's on page 4 of the review. Yeah, BIOS overview right here. So check that out if you want to. It is on our YouTube page. So yeah,
cool.
Yeah. Talking about the next review, Ryan, do you want to bring that up and share it so you can go through it? Since it is your review.
Oops, I'm in the wrong tab. There we go. All right.
And we'll bring it up on the screen. Also, in our live chat, we have Old Man. Good to see you here. I think we missed you. Did we miss him last week? I don't remember.
I don't know that Old Man was around.
Yeah,
last week.
But yeah, so Ryan took a look at the Cooler Master MasterLiquid PL360 Flux, and you can just take it away, Ryan.
Yeah. So this is one of Cooler Master's latest all-in-one liquid coolers from their MasterLiquid line. And I think their main focus here is on their well, there's a couple pieces. A lot of RGB options for this, and then their newer fans, their PL Flux fans that they're using. So pretty standard all-in-one that we took a look at here. It's a 360 millimeter kit. They do make a 240 in it as well. But when you first look at it, it's really kind of plain. It looks like just about every other AIO you see out there, right? There's nothing flashy about it when it's powered off. It doesn't have the mirrored finish on the CPU block like we've seen previously. It's almost a mirrored look, but it's got these very, very fine rings around it. It's kind of like a machined finish, like you'll see on
it looks kind of like a like it kind of looks like,
it almost looks like the bottom of a heat sink.
That's what I was about to say.
You see that design. But no, it's high end looking, from some angles. Nothing too crazy looking, but it really does look nice once you've got it hooked up and powered on, which we'll take a look at here in a minute. Like I said, this version's the 360 version, 27.2 millimeter thick radiator. So it's the same thickness as the previous ML280 mirror that we looked at. That was the last all-in-one we looked at from Cooler Master. So they've got a very similar design on the radiator. It's that same square building design that they utilize there. And I love their braided cables or their hoses that they use. They're usually pretty flexible. I just wish they were a little bit longer. In our install, we put the radiator up top like all the others. It just seems like they could be a little bit longer to help you kind of route those cables up to the top, but past that, pretty standard cable length and tubing there. These are the PL Flux fans I was talking about, and they've kind of taken that design where around the outer edge, we've got the fans connected to each other inner ring there. That just kind of gives the fan blades some stability, gets a little better air pressure to push the air through the radiator itself. We've got rubber pads at the end of each fan to knock down vibrations, which is awesome. And they do include an ARGB controller. That previous ML280 mirror came with a controller, but it was very, very basic. It was kind of like, here's a couple lighting options to get you by, but you probably want to use something else. This one's a little more advanced, hooks up to your motherboard via USB 2 and some SATA power, and connects up multiple devices. And they actually include a pigtail like breakout cable. So I'm actually only utilizing one of these ports on the controller itself. And then I have all the devices plugged in.
Those are standard connections?
Yeah. Yep.
So you could connect any ARGB device to that?
Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Nice.
And then that's just controlled via the master... I forget the name of it now. The Cooler Master application for controlling lighting. Install is super easy. I love that they utilize their thumb screws for their fans. It makes you still have to like install the radiator at the top of your case with a screwdriver and the normal screws, but putting the fans on there is like so much. It's just nice.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I have an older, very. I mean, this is like 4 years old now. Cooler Master AIO. It's only a 120, but having those thumb screws for the fans just makes life so much easier.
Yeah, it's nice. And then once we had the AM4 bracket on there, it was actually it's secured as well by thumb screws to the AMD mounting hardware. You can see the bracket and the thumb screws here. So that's another nice and easy process for mounting things up. Testing wise, idle, it kind of sits in the middle of our charts. Nothing to write home about, but it's not like a horrible performer. But once we put a load on it, it performed a little, I don't want to say worse. It just didn't perform as well as some of the other 360s we've taken a look at in the past. It's definitely not the warmest cooler, but it's, in second place or as far as heat goes in all of our all-in-one testing. This 51 here is from just a standard heatsink CPU cooler there. So I was definitely expecting a little more performance out of this. Hopefully, breaking the 40 degree barrier and maybe dipping into the high 30s, but that wasn't the case. At the same time, we're nowhere near like the thermal limits of the CPU, and it kept things cool just fine. You're not going to
I would say,
issues.
I mean, 46 is not bad.
No, not by any means, right? It's not our best performing one that we've seen.
Yeah, sure.
And then, like I said, lighting is controlled in Corsair's application, and you've just got some real basic options here in the Master Plus. Spectrum, your rainbow, your custom lighting. You can set all those things there, and we've just got a couple shots here of some of those lighting options. Overall, I gave it an 8 out of 10. It's right around $190 on Amazon right now for the 360 millimeter version. The only thing that I really had as a con for it was that it just didn't perform as well as some of the other 360s. And that's really, from my perspective, the most important part of a cooler is like, how well is this thing cool? It looks really nice, but if it's not keeping your processor cool, then it's not that great. Yeah, it's not that it cooled it inadequately, because it obviously did, and there's no issues cooling it. It's just
basically, I mean, if you were looking at 360s, it's not performance wise, it's not the best one out there. So
absolutely,
definitely something to keep in mind. But yeah, and Ryan also did a video on this. It's linked in the first page of the review. It's on our YouTube page too if you want to check it out. And Ryan shot and edited the entire video himself, so definitely check it out. Give it a thumbs up on YouTube if you'd like. Give it a comment if you'd like as well. He did a really good job on that. So, definitely check that out. So very cool. So I also took a look at a CPU cooler this week. Awesome. Mine's completely different from an AIO. It actually features no fans at all. It was actually kind of fun to test this because I had my doubts about this. We've talked about... We've seen passive CPU coolers in the past. And for me, typically passive CPU coolers are great for non-intensive tasks. They're great for like home theater PC or small form factor PC or web PC, like stuff you're not doing crazy intensive tasks, you're not gaming on, things like that. But Noctua, who we know for basically the best air coolers out there, they have released their first passive CPU cooler. It's the NHP1. It is a big piece of metal. Again, no fans on this, so it's just all metal. And it's actually designed pretty interesting. So typically with most heat sinks that you see, you have your heatsink fins, but they're very thin and they're very close together. And that, they're very close, they're very thin and they're very close together because you want as many fins as possible. And you want, they're very close together because you're going to have a fan to push air through, those really close fins. Here, we don't have a fan. So you can see, one, the fins are very thick and they're spaced out. So, the air that's coming in your system from your case fans will help kind of come through this heatsink. That's kind of the whole idea. But this thing is big. It's very, very big. It's very heavy. You can kind of see, just a big piece of metal, man. So again, I had my doubts about this cooler. It has 6 heat pipes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 6 heat pipes that kind of come out from the base, just like a normal heatsink would. Mm-hmm. Pretty big here. And again, we can see the spacing and how the heat sinks go through. And what's interesting is the heat pipes. You can kind of see they're soldered onto. So a lot of times you'll see these and they go up through, but they're not like soldered in.
They'll make contact, but they're not soldered a lot of times.
Yeah,
it's cheaper, but you get less performance.
Yeah, so these are soldered through. And then the base of this cooler is one of the best machine bases I've seen. I get a close-up of it. Like, look at that. Like, it is one of the best that I've seen. It's just very, very well designed and very well built piece of metal. That's basically what this is, a big piece of metal. So yeah, so again, I was just like, okay, this thing's going to do good idle. You put a big piece of metal on a CPU and you're not doing anything with that CPU, it's not going to get crazy hot, right? It's just, but then we put load on it and I was actually very surprised. Here you can see it installed right there. And what's kind of nice about it, well, here's 2 things to note. One is that it doesn't cover your memory, which is nice. So if you do have RGB memory like I have, it's not going to get covered. But in our case, we did have to remove our rear fan here. And this is a smaller case. It's not the biggest case out there. So just keep that in mind. We actually took the fan off and just put it on the back of the case to make all of our testing fair. But looking, our idle, it was just with all of our other coolers, 31 degrees idle, which is good. All the other ones were, 30, and then one was 27. Yep. And then one was 34, actually, that had fans on it, which is kind of interesting. And then we go to our load test. So our worst performing air cooler that has a fan was 54 degrees. And the Noctua NHP1 is 59 degrees. But no fans. And again, this one that was 54, that's a Be Quiet Dark Rock TF2. Like, these are all big coolers. We just reviewed the Silverstone Hydrogon D120. That's a dual fan, dual tower cooler. The Noctua NHD15, dual fan, dual tower cooler. The Iceberg Thermal Ice Sleet G4 Midnight. I think that one has one fan. The Cooler Master Air MA624 Stealth, dual fan, dual tower. So again, and then we do our super. This is where I thought the cooler was going to fail. I was like, okay, we're going to get thermal throttling. This is the super high end test. And again, Be Quiet Dark Rock TF2, a worst performing cooler, was at 70 degrees. The Noctua with no fans is at 77, which again it's high, but
that's not that much higher.
That's with with no fans on this thing.
Yeah,
none.
You can throw a fan on it though, can't you?
Yeah, you can throw a fan on it if you would like to. We didn't. Obviously, because it's not designed. But I think this is really great because, again, most passive CPU coolers have only been able to do like, again, just like basic little things, right? Whereas this, you could put this in a system and be all right, so I would say, like I said, I thought this was actually a really good cooler for what it is. Again, you're going passive because you want less noise for the most part. Right. Or it's a case where, like, I've seen, even though this is a big cooler, I've seen it in a lot of small form factor cases. So again, it has a couple different applications, but I think if you are looking at a passive cooler, this is going to be the one to get. Just like if you're looking for an air cooler, Noctua is pretty much the one to get as well. So I think it's a really good cooler. Shinny asked in the chat, right, was I scared of melting my CPU? No, because again, all the CPUs have like their TJ maxes, and then the system will turn off before it melts, or they'll thermally throttle. So that's what I was expecting. Like we test with Asus, and like if a CPU gets too hot, it will thermally throttle itself. And that's what I was expecting to happen with this, but it didn't happen. So that was like the test for this. Will our CPU thermally throttle on this? And it didn't. So I gave this a 9 out of 10. Now, keep in mind, this is not cheap because it's all metal, and metal's not obviously the cheapest thing to build with. Yeah. Heavy duty metal. It's $109.90.
That doesn't seem horrible.
And
like the Noctua coolers, yeah.
Like I think the NHD 15 is $119. So
sure,
but it's something different. I would say it's like a proof of concept that you can do this with modern CPUs. So I like I said, I was actually impressed because again, I was expecting thermally throttle. Can't do our super high end CPU test, but it did it. So
sweet.
So yeah, pretty cool. Definitely.
I'd be curious, like what the temperature difference is like on that between that first fin and the last one, right? If you had a thermal probe and you were like measuring the temperature, like how much of a delta between the two is there?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, so like I said, it's a really interesting cooler. No noise, obviously, which is good. So yeah, like I said, check out the review if you're interested in that. That brings us to Case Mod Friday, and we have a Star Wars themed build. I don't know about you, but like we've seen Star Wars themed build over the years, and for me, most of them don't like capture.
Really feel like a Star Wars, yeah.
It's just like doesn't feel super. I don't know. There was a Stormtrooper one which did because like Stormtrooper's pretty easy because it's the white. That I remember doing that one. That one was good, but this one I think is actually really good. This is done by Italian Extreme Modders. They do so much good work. We featured a bunch of their builds over the past couple of years. And this one is the Darth Vader tribute. I'll bring up a big picture so you guys can see it. With this like metal exterior and the black, like it just has more of like that kind of like industrial Star Wars feel. I don't know about you. I mean, that's kind of how I feel about it.
No, it looks good.
Yeah,
it's again one of those builds that only liquid cools the CPU. We've seen that here and there.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice that.
But I think that card that they chose, right, the Radeon card with the red border there, it kind of makes sense to leave the air cooled.
Yeah, for sure. You can see they have like a lightsaber there, Darth Vader, but just the color scheme. What's this thing called right here?
So like the Imperial,
whatever that is. I'm not big into Star Wars, so whatever that is down there, that is he has that on there, and he has it on the front. The water cooling that we talked about, which is great. The liquid color matches quite well if you're
the Imperial crest. Yeah,
the Imperial crest. There we go. But yeah, everything just matches really well. This is done inside the Ryzen Tech Iris, ERIS Evo. So yeah, you can see the front here, just done really well. You can see the little Darth Vader helmet there. Pretty cool, I think.
There was some glass at the back or plexi.
Yeah. So they has the plexi in the back
that
cool. Has the Star Wars. That's actually really cool. Because it's not like I think the reason why I like it, it's not like crazy Star Wars'd out. Like there's not Star Wars logos everywhere. It's not like you know, it's like it matches the color scheme, and there's a little bit like with the lightsaber, and then this back here, and some of the, like the Imperial crest logos. Like that's all it needs. It doesn't need to be overdone, and that's what I kind of, you know, like about the whole thing. Oh, and there, do you see this? The Darth Vader thingy back there.
Yep, the highlight back there. That's cool.
Yeah, so very cool. And then it just says Star Wars here on the side as well. So definitely check this one out. Again, this one's from Italian Extreme Modders. If you guys want to find out like where are these case mods on the website, I can't find the case mods. You just go to articles here at the top and then click on Case Mod Friday. And then when this ever comes up, you have a ton, and we have almost 50 pages of case mods. So you have a ton to look through if that's what you're looking for. And we'll move over to news this week. RTX 3090 Ti finally available. All the reviews came out. How do you feel about this card? Like anything?
I'm not excited for multiple reasons. Like price, number one.
The Founders Edition is $2,000.
Yep. Availability, we don't necessarily, haven't experienced that yet. To see what that's like, and just the looming next generation card, right? This just feels too late and too expensive for my viewpoint.
Yeah. So the big upgrades is it's the full, what is it? The G102 CPU. I think it went from like 10,300 CUDA cores to like 10,700 CUDA cores. The 24 gigabytes of GDDR6X it's the faster now. And they added more Tensor cores and RT cores. From what I've seen from the reviews, because we didn't review it, but from what I've seen from the reviews, it's about 10% faster than the 3090. It's about 14% faster than the 2080 Ti, and about 20% faster than the Radeon RX 6900 XT. I mean, I guess if you're building the most high-end system right now, that's the card you want.
Right.
Yeah. I still do have to say, and I said this when I reviewed the original RTX 3090, is that if you're a gamer, you don't necessarily need that card. You're not going to make use of 24 gigabytes of VRAM. You're just not. So yeah, I would just say, and a lot of all the high-end cards are out right now too. Like all the aftermarket cards are being made available too. So you have a lot of choice. I mean, if you don't want to get the Founders, there's a ton of other ones out there. Just again, be prepared to pay that premium for it. Yeah, I mean,
it's just the price point is crazy. Like EVGA, for example, like their 3090 Ti for the Win Ultra gaming is like $2,200. It's just $200 extra on there is insane. When a $2,200 computer, 5 years ago or a little while ago was like, that's pretty nice rig.
Yeah,
very nice rig.
I think Ryan made the point is that it's kind of like, not that it's necessarily too late in the game, but it's not the next generation, right? This is an Ampere card. It's not a Hopper card, which we'll see towards the end of this year. So I don't think, and again, availability kind of comes into it as well. But it's like, yeah, it's just putting out the highest end thing just because, and it's not. I don't think anybody's crazy excited because it's not the next generation card. When 30 series launched, we're like, hell yeah, dude. Like we're getting crazy performance. And at the time when they launched, the prices were very good too. So
sure. Yeah. It's just knowing that that's coming down the road. And it's like, you can see it down on the highway. You're like, all right, my exit's almost here. Like for the next big thing, but there's this right here. I'll just wait.
Yeah. So with the 3090 Ti's, they will come with the new 16-pin power connection, but a lot of people don't have ATX 3.0 power supplies. There's only like a handful available, and the availability is pretty scarce. So they're going to come with this little adapter. So this takes the 16-pin to 3 8-pin, which will give you 450 watts of power through this connection. So all the cards will ship with this. So again, if you were upgrading, as long as your power supply supports up to 3 8-pin PCI Express power connectors, you should be good. You'll just have to use this little adapter. Yeah, that's not a big deal. I wouldn't say. It's nice that it is included. But yeah, that's kind of like the adapter. And then Galax, they released their RTX 3090 TI Hall of Fame, which is like their super high-end card. It has 2 16-pin
oh my god
power connections, which would theoretically give you 1200 watts of power for the card. Now, I initially thought this and I was like, holy shit, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of power. But with the adapter that we just talked about, the actual 12-pin connector here supports 600 watts, but it only supports 600 watts if it's using an ATX 3.0 power supply, right? So most people getting this card right now will be using an adapter, and the adapter only gives you 450 watts. And the TDP on this card is 480 watts. So you can see why they put 2. Mostly because, again, for that limitation. Now, if everybody had these ATX 3.0 power supplies and the 16-pin connector was more, everybody was using it, you would probably only see 1, because you'd give you 600 watts plus the 75 watts from the PCI Express slot. But just to make sure, they put 2 on here, which again, still, I mean, it's a lot of power.
Yeah.
Going through there. But yeah, that's the first graphics card that we've seen with the dual 16-pin power connectors, giving you the ability to put 1200 watts through the graphics card, which is crazy.
Thing is enormous.
Yeah. Shinny was talking about the RTX 40 series, saying that it might be in September. Honestly, no clue, but that's typically they like to launch around holiday season. That's when people are building new systems and buying things. So maybe something around that time. So we will definitely see that. Good news for everybody out there. These next 2 stories. One, GPU prices are falling again. 10 to 13%. Or did we talk about this last week? No, we didn't talk about this. Maybe we did. But in any case, eBay listings are 10 to 13% down from the previous month. So Hardware Unboxed does this, like they do the monthly pricing trends, which is great to see kind of where things are at. And the prices of the aftermarket cards on eBay are dropping. So it's definitely good to see. That means that probably more cards are getting into the market, and that that we hopefully will get out of this crazy overpriced
bubble we're in. I don't know if it's a
bubble that we've been in for what, 2 years now. I mean, also on top of that,
I was gonna say, our next story kind of like shows that that's probably the trend, at least in the near future here.
Yeah. So Asus says they're ready to cut prices of Geforce RTX 30 GPUs by up to 25% in April. That's awesome. Yeah. This is mainly to do with the tariffs. So if you remember, there were the tariffs, like we were going through like the trade war with China, and the tariffs were on PCB or printed circuit boards, which would be motherboards, graphics cards, things like that.
So many things.
Yeah. So that they've made an exception for printed circuit boards. That was the kind of thing. So we could see more regular, even MSRPs, which would definitely help out aftermarket sales as well. So maybe get back to semi-normal pricing for graphics cards. Hopefully we'll see. And we'll see, I would say, cough, cough, MSI, cough, cough. See if they, because again, you have these crazy high prices, people are going to buy these graphics cards, and you have companies that will just continue to have the super high price. Like again, when we, typically an aftermarket graphics card would be like $50 extra, right? Than the MSRP.
Yeah.
Maybe the super high end one, like the highest end one they have would be $100 over MSRP, but that was it. And now we're seeing like $600, $700, $800 over MSRP,
which is insane
for an aftermarket card from the manufacturer. We've seen that. So we'll see. Like I said, if Asus does that, I think they're do you think they sell the most cards?
Probably.
Yeah. So I think they're the market leader. They kind of do the, and everybody else follows.
Everybody follows suit.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll see if they do follow suit. I do have to say, and Shinny put it in chat. He said he bought a 3070 Ti earlier for $100.
He almost did.
Yeah.
He was talking about it today. I was there, and he's like,
EVGA has been pretty good with keeping their aftermarket cards within reason, I would say, over MSRP. So yeah, cool stuff. I'm excited to see. I just remember when the 30 series launched, and I was so pumped for like all my friends who wanted to build PCs, because I was like, this stuff, like you can play every game in 4K, like you can do everything you wanted to do, and like the prices were so good. So hopefully we get back to that. Maybe 4000 series we'll see like back to normal.
Nice.
That's like, you remember when Intel did that with their high-end desktop CPUs? They like doubled in price, and then like they're like,
and then they had to come back, and they're like, they had to come back. Never mind.
Yeah. But talking about Intel, they formally announced their Arc A series graphics cards. So these are discrete mobile graphics cards. We talked about mobiles coming first. And we kind of see the details here. Just like their processors, we'll see Intel Arc 3 series, Intel Arc 5 series, and Intel Arc 7 series. Again, the lower the number, the lower end, the higher end, just like their processors. 3 series will have 2 different discrete GPUs, A350M and A370M. The Arc 5 series will have 1 card, which is the A550M, and then the Arc 7 will have 2 cards, which is the A730M and A770M. I mean, the highest end card will have 16 gigabytes of VRAM on it.
Yeah, and pretty high, like 120 to 150 watts. Like,
on
pretty
mobile?
Decent on mobile.
Yeah. The 3 series will be available like now. You'll see laptops will be available now. They say the Arc 5 and Arc 7 will be available early summer. So interesting to see these things, honestly. I'm like,
it'll be cool. They'll be out in stores pretty soon. So it'll be, and hopefully just some reviewers.
Yeah.
To see what they look like.
Yeah. So again, even though this is the mobile side laptops, adding another player and a serious player that Intel is going to be, not only on the mobile side, but on the desktop side, like it's great for the consumer for pricing, because they're going to have price wars with certain parts. On top of that, it like breeds innovation. Like, okay, that's like just like what AMD did with Ryzen. Like Ryzen came out, and we had quad core CPUs for like ever, and then Ryzen came out, and then Intel was like, oh shit, like we have to, So hopefully this kind of stirs up things on the GPU side, and I'm pretty pumped for it. So this is just the start.
And I mean, I think Intel's about the only company that could come in and do this, to be the third player, right? Like,
not a 3DFX is coming back. Don't you remember that post?
All right.
But definitely, like I said, we'll keep you updated on these. Hopefully we'll see, like Ryan said, we'll see some laptop reviews with these in them and see what they did. And again, this is what most companies do, is they showed their what the Intel Arc 3 can do against Intel Iris X internal graphics. I would like to see this against AMD and NVIDIA mobile graphics. So none of their charts show that. So we'll see. But again, that's expected. That kind of,
that's par for the course with Intel.
Yeah, but I mean,
they're always a little shady on graphs and showing data like this.
I think all the graphs that we see are a little
true.
You know, but if you look at some of the stuff, I mean, Doom Eternal over 63 FPS at 1080p on an Arc 3, which is their super low end, right? Isn't bad.
Well, and I think the next graph showed like Fortnite and a couple other titles. Yeah, so like that's not bad. 1080p, over 90 FPS, right? With the Arc. And I don't know why. I wish they would have shown the FPS values for the Iris X, because I mean, yes, like Fortnite, for example, that's probably only 45 to 50 FPS that it's getting. But wouldn't you want to show that, hey, like get the one with dedicated graphics and you'll get twice as much performance out of our previous offering in mobile? Like,
yeah.
Anyhow.
Yeah, no, like I said, we'll see. Again, I would hope the reviewers that get the laptops, it's like notebookreview.com is always has really good stuff.
Yeah.
And you'll see it all over the place. These reviews, I really hope they compare to comparable laptops with like NVIDIA graphics, again with AMD graphics, to kind of see where this sits. I think the best thing with these will be the price. Kind of, Intel can put a deal together to do both parts in one system and get a kind of competitive price, which I think will be a big part of this as well, especially in notebook space. So pretty excited about that. We'll see, like I said, kind of what these parts will do. And again, a whole new architecture, all that kind of stuff. Really, really, again, it's mobile, but I'm pretty pumped for it. So, Shinny says, I love how Grand Theft Auto 5 is still a benchmark game and it was on the Xbox 360. It would be interesting to see the numbers of like people that still play that game. So it's still really high. I mean, that's a game that you can just like turn on
and mess around,
and play and have a good time. So, So also, Intel officially launched the Core i9-12900KS. That's the one that hits a 5.5 gigahertz max turbo. It's basically like their highest bin CPUs. I believe it's we had the leak of 799 last week. That was on Newegg, but it's 739, available April 5th.
Cool.
Yeah, I would say again, if you're building a new system, this would be one that you would definitely be interested in. All I have to say is that you want proper cooling. Ryan and I were talking about this the other day. I have a 360 mil AIO with a 12900K, and it gets in there's not even overclocked. Gets in the high 70s on a 360. So definitely just keep that in mind if you're building a system. And we got some details on Ryzen 7000 series. So again, we had Ryzen 5000 series, and the way they're doing their naming is that the Ryzen 6000 series will be all of their APUs, and then the normal desktop CPUs will be Ryzen 7000 series. We seen the new, because they're going from PGA to LGA, so these chips will not have the pins on them, which I'm so thankful for, because I've dropped Ryzen CPUs and bent my pins, and there goes CPU. So this is what the chips will actually look like, and this is what's under the heatsink here. But the really interesting thing, so we've seen some leaks, and there's going to be the 16 core part, which was the 5950X of last generation. The new one, which would be this, we would guess it would be called the 7950X, 170 watt TDP. That's a lot.
It's some heat for sure.
Yeah, so the 12 core part will be 105 watts, but the 16 core part would be 170 watts. That's a lot. That was kind of the big news kind of out of this leak. I mean, 170 watts, again, that's going to be it's going to be very hot, just like the Intel chips right now. So yeah, we'll kind of see how that goes.
I'm excited though. Like, I think this is the thing I'm most excited for
coming up.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, AMD has continually delivered on performance. Continued to delivered on each generation has been, you're not getting that like 7% increase, right? in performance. You're getting generational leap, which is kind of what you want to see.
Well, and it just shows that they are willing to make changes, like with their platform, because they could have said, no, we're going to stick with PGA instead of moving to LGA. You know that they're willing to make those changes that are needed to get the most performance out of their product, and that change is one of those. So I'm really glad to see that, and it just shows that they're number one, making the changes they need and to be where they need to be for performance and market share.
Yeah. Talking about AMD, we talked about it last week, was the Ryzen 7 5700X was one of their kind of like refreshes. What do we call that? The spring refresh. And priced at $299. And it performs about the same as the Ryzen 7 5800X, which was like what, $200 more expensive?
I think it was $450.
But it was like $150 more expensive. So that's kind of interesting. I mean, it's great for people buying it, but I'd be kind of upset that like. But I guess these came out.
I'd be upset if you bought a 5800 like
recently
from the beginning. Yeah, recently.
Not from the beginning, because you have to remember these have been out for like 2 years.
The beginning of the year is what I was going to say. But recently.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I'm all for that.
Sure.
Yeah. So instead of getting a 5800X, and if you're not getting the 5800X 3D, I think that this is
the next best.
Next best thing to do. So definitely, they've always been good on price. AMD has always been really good on price with their Ryzen processors, and giving you again a lot for your money. So that is our news for the week. Kind of rolled through that decently quick, I feel. But
yeah, we did.
But coming up next week, I'm taking a look at some more DDR5. I will have the Kingston Fury Beast DDR5. The kit that I have is 5200 megahertz, or I think 5200 megahertz, 32 gig kit. Again, the default you'll see with DDR5 is 32 gigabytes. So no RGB on this, just the black heatsink. Oh no, I did have it. It's over there, but yeah, definitely stay tuned for.
Is Beast a new line for them?
It's part of the Fury line. I think they're going to, because again, I forget which line they got rid of. They got rid of one, but anyways, I think they're going to segment. I can't talk. Segment. They're going to segment the Fury line into a couple different like sub things. But stay tuned for that. And I'll take a look at a really cool 3-in-1 gaming combo. I always like to see stuff that it's not the best, but it gets you by and it's cheap, right? We've all been in that situation where we have a limited amount of money to spend on whatever, right? And a lot of times it's either super high end or a piece of crap. And like there's a nice like middle spot where you get stuff that's like pretty decent, but it's not the best, and it's a good price.
Sure.
So that's kind of what I hope this will be. So this is the GameDS Hermes E4 3-in-1 combo. Comes with a 60% keyboard, a 12,800 DPI mouse, and a gaming mat, all in one. I forget the price. Cool. It's not crazy expensive. But here it is. You can kind of see it right there, and everything's all white too themed, which I'm a big fan of. I like all the white stuff. Looks great on your desk. But yeah, it's pretty cool little thing. So we'll see how all this performs, and if it's worth picking up. The keyboard is a mechanical keyboard, RGB backlit.
I don't think it's RGB though. I think it's just lighting zones.
It might just be lighting zones. You could be right. I haven't taken out of the box yet, so we'll see. Yeah, pretty cool. Well, like I said, we'll see if it's worth picking up. If it's something, again, I like finding things that will definitely get the job done and maybe save you some money so you can put that money towards other things in your system. So definitely, like I said, excited to check that out as well.
Cool.
Shinny said it doesn't look like there's a lot of mouse space on that pad. Yeah, I think that's where they're going to kind of get away with the savings, is like that mouse pad it's not like a desk mat like what I have in front, where you guys can't see, but I have a big desk mat here. This is small, and and I think they try to get away with it because it's a 60% keyboard, which is smaller, but it's definitely not like a full size mouse mat. But yeah, well, like I said, check next week. I'll have the review for you guys, and we'll tell you all about it. And we're at the end here. We come to Ryan. Did you do any tech related things?
Sort of. I bought a new power supply for my main system. I just haven't.
What'd you get?
I bought the EVGA. What is it? 750 G5. So what I have in there now is a 650, and I've just noticed recently that the fan is kicking on. Like, it has that eco mode where it won't run until it reaches a certain load. And I think I've just been, not that I've been putting more load on it. I think it's just getting maybe to the point of it's not being as efficient, so it's reaching its load easier and quicker. So the fan kicks on, and the fan's louder than I would like. So I just bought the 750, and I'll swap it out at some point.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's always good. EVGA, great company for power supplies.
Power supplies.
And most of them come with like a 10-year warranty now too.
Yep. I have I have a G3 650 in there, and I almost bought another G3, but it was more expensive than the G5, and I mean the G5's newer and a little better anyways, so I just up that. Yeah.
Well, very cool. I watched the new Halo show. There's a new Halo TV show. What's it on Paramount? Watched the first episode. So one, I don't like that all these streaming services have like got the point where like you don't drop the entire season at once. They do it every week. But yeah, Halo TV show. It's on Paramount Plus. I watched the first episode. I like it so far. If you're a Halo fan or like the Halo universe, it's kind of what what it's based on. Pretty cool. I didn't think it was like anything groundbreaking or amazing, but I didn't hate it either. So so if you're if you have Paramount Plus, you want to check it out. I mean, it's a TV show based on one of the most popular game franchises ever. So
sure,
yeah, so check it out if you're interested. I don't think I did anything else. Did I do anything else? Just worked on reviews, basically. I'm thinking I did something else technically, but I don't remember what it was if I did do it. But yeah, old man in the chat, he said he bought an LG 2.1 channel soundbar with DTS Virtual X on Best Buy for $119 daily deal. Oh, nice. I always worried about subwoofers. He said it comes with a subwoofer and a lot of bass. I've always like lived in apartments, and like you have that subwoofer on the ground, and like say you're on the second floor, like you always worry about like your neighbor like hearing that, you know what I mean, who like lives below you or whatever, if you have a big subwoofer.
Saying that does remind me, I did recently we went to IKEA. I think I mentioned this last week or the week before. So I did some furniture rearranging in our family room, and part of that was moving the subwoofer behind the TV stand, and so I needed some like a new optical cable. So I bought some cables from Amazon Basics, which we've mentioned before. I bought a new subwoofer cable and an optical cable and a longer stereo audio cable. I was pretty happy with the quality of the cables.
I think Amazon is one of the few that like they're like like their Amazon Basics brand. A lot of stuff, not just tech stuff, but like a lot of stuff that all the Amazon Basic, they do a really good job of putting, again, just like that game DSC4. It's like, it's not super high end, but it's not a piece of crap. It's like right in that good sweet spot. And Amazon usually prices them pretty good too. So yeah. Oh, that's exciting. Are you excited? Did all your furniture turn out well? Did you freak out when trying to build it?
No, I put together 7 pieces of furniture in 2 days.
Couldn't pay me to do that. I did that
when I moved. A desk, 2 big cabinets with drawers for comics, a TV stand, and then 2 extra stands in the family room down there.
Yeah, like I don't know. You remember when like I moved here, that like little cart thing I have that has all the drawers, that took me like 3.5 hours to build. It's like, yeah, I'm done with all the furniture.
I'm not gonna say it was fun, but
Yeah, that's so all right, guys. Well, we are going to move over to Twitch, twitch.tv/ThinkComputers. Jump over there. Ryan will have the stream up playing some Apex Legends with Shinny, who's also in the chat. They're talking crap, saying I'm really bad. So I haven't been that great this past couple of weeks, but we'll go ahead and jump over there. Thanks everybody for coming out. And Old Man, good to see you here this week as well. And I don't think we have any anything planned like for next week. So I guess we'll see everybody here next Wednesday, 5:30 Pacific, 8:30. Wait, yeah, 8:30 Eastern. All right, guys, we'll see y'all next week.